I moved to San Francisco in 1975 and started working at Pacific Presbyterian. During that time, I went to graduate school while working full-time to get my MSW from UC Berkeley. And then I soon became the chief psychosocial worker at PPMC, and I had three people reporting to me. I began to recognize, both in graduate school and after I left graduate school, how much I liked program development and administrative work. So that I had developed a couple of clinics during one of the years in school because I needed to have that experience, and I had to have experience in program proposal writing, so I was able to use my job for that as well. So I then became more interested in social work management, and when an opening occurred at Children's Hospital in San Francisco, I jumped at it. I would have liked to have stayed in one place, but opportunity for professional growth doesn't always happen for you in one setting. So I went to Children's, where I became responsible for a medical social work department and was exposed to a wide range of cases. We were understaffed, and that meant I had to cover the gaps in service myself, not really having had experience with medically ill people, and yet people assuming that since I was the director of social work, I must know everything. But that's where I learned to work with people with cancer and AIDS and the parents of sick children. It was a really good orientation for me. I slowly built that department, and I think in a 6-year period that I was there, it tripled in size. And this was, I started there the day DRG started. So it was during a time of a lot of change and chaos at times. What we did was really prove our value to the hospital, both economically and clinically. And for that reason, we were able to flourish. We provided the hospital with 24-hour service, and people appreciated that a great deal. I reached a point, however, where I had developed a really good department, but felt somewhat constrained by being in a smaller community hospital. And I felt, for me, the most challenging thing would be to be at a university hospital. And of the university hospitals in Northern California, Stanford's the one that's most, that I feel greatest affinity for, and did before I came here. In social work, you're trying to empower the patient. You're not really trying to do things for them. You do whatever you can to help them function at their highest level. With staff, you're doing the same thing. And if you're doing that with several staff, just the knowledge that you are contributing to better practice for more people means that more patients are going to benefit from it. So I've always felt a vicarious pleasure knowing that a worker's doing a great job, knowing that I'm the person who supports that person. I'm the one who acknowledges them, who is there for when they need to talk about a particularly tough case, either because the situation is so thorny or because it took so much out of them personally to do it. I just never lose sight of the fact that we're here for patients and families. And it's important to me that Stanford has in the past several years really seen the wisdom of making this a patient-centered environment. My feeling is it should be patient and family-centered. I think that if you could provide wonderful high-tech care to a patient, but if a family is dysfunctional and having trouble dealing with the changes that they as a family are going through or may go through, then we're not doing our full job, that we have some obligation to the family or support systems of people. And at times we need to provide supports to the family and or other supportive friends in their social networks so that people can be discharged on a timely basis and and there will be better compliance with the medical regimen because the family's been included. As a manager, you can't have the expectation that everyone will always support you or like you. You know, there's periods that you'll go through with some people, and there's times when you have information that they may not have, and you can't easily share the information, and you have to make some tough decisions. So I would tell someone who is interested in management to anticipate some of that. I think too often that stuff gets personalized when it shouldn't be. And I basically think if you're doing a good job as a manager on a day-to-day basis, if you have to communicate negative information, you can do it in the context of a relationship that's based on mutual support and respect. In general, I think if you look at task orientation or outcome, an outcome perspective versus process, I think I'm probably smack in the middle. Most social workers are over here under process so that they carefully examine options for change, but they don't come to a lot of decisions themselves. Of course, their orientation is to help patients and family make their own decisions. Nursing, on the other hand, is closer to outcome measurement. And I kind of see myself as a blend of the two. I don't think that either, you have to be more varied in the way you address problems. There are times, given what the problem is, that a focus on process is the most important thing. If we're looking at ourselves as a work group, then it is important. But in this environment where hospitals are having to scramble to keep up with a very changing healthcare environment, we also need to be able to see results and to do it in a timely basis. In running a committee, I think the important things are that people know what the mission of the committee is real clearly, and that they know what their role is going to be. And then for each meeting, people need to have an idea of what's going to be accomplished. And that can be done sometimes with an agenda. If it's more informal, it's just important to, for the person chairing the committee to keep in contact with those other people so that they recognize that their input is valuable and will help to ensure the best outcome. Taking minutes, I think, is important. Not that you'll use the minutes for anything, except that, it helps underline the importance of the group work. And it also, if someone is gone, they can refresh themselves by, finding out what had happened beforehand. And I think it's also important when you end a meeting to just kind of go over what you went over that day, that we've accomplished this, or we're agreed to do this, but now we need to do, Jim, you're going to do this, and Ann, you're going to do this, and we will meet again in, 2 weeks or whatever. I think that those steps help ensure that a group will work well together. And I believe that you should be drawing people into processes so that you're not always drawing on the same people. I think an important part of management is creating opportunity for professional growth. And through that, I think you're contributing to your employees' personal growth too. I believe managers are responsible for creating an environment in which excellence can occur, whatever that might mean given the different work situation. And then I think that as a manager, I should set high standards, really the highest in the group, so that not everyone's going to make it or achieve those standards consistently, but there's a consistent expectation that people will, so that you can then talk to people about what kind of continuing education plan might help them be more successful in their work. And after that, I kind of see myself as a coach. And, you coach your best players and the ones that are having a struggle. And I think in doing that, I think your personal warmth and sense of humor are invaluable tools. When I was working at Children's Hospital in San Francisco, after I'd been there several months, it slowly dawned on me that the social worker responsible for the intensive care unit had a lot of issues about death and dying. And she tended to underserve the unit because of that, and then overserve outpatient clinic areas. And that was not okay. So we were meeting on a weekly basis, and she was really a very protective, well-defended person. And we had several meetings where I would just kind of slowly bring up some of the issues, so that like by the second or third meeting I was able to say, you know, my sense is that when you're in situations like that, that sometimes you aren't even sure what to do because of your own anxiety. And she said that was the case. So this is one that worked out pretty well. I felt like I was kind of pushing her off the end of a diving board, but at the same time I felt like she could do it if that would happen for her. But it was an uncomfortable situation for me as a manager to know how much to confront. And I feel like there are times when I've given feedback and it's like a lead balloon, and I go home and feel like, gee, I should have done that differently. Certainly I've learned not to do something like to give people negative feedback when I'm not fully prepared. I wouldn't do it rushed between meetings. I may have to go outside and take a walk for 10 minutes before I do it. And again, I try to use the relationship that I've formed with the person so that they know I'm not there to hound them or to get rid of them. I'm there to help them make the grade. One example, that person, by the way, made some dramatic improvements. And one of the improvements was really because her father died of cancer. And I think it demystified the process to her, so that she became a relief social worker and was really as comfortable in oncology as she had been in outpatient general medicine. But I think we both felt like we went through a lot together to get there. Another person here at Stanford, when I started, she had not been clinically supervised in the 10 years that she'd been here. So no one ever discussed her cases with her. She was and is well loved by the treatment team that she works with. But within the department, she had a lower status. And I began to talk to her about her work, and she was very amenable to supervision. And I would talk with her about her relationships with nursing staff and physician staff, and ways to optimize those. And it was a really it's a wonderful experience for both of us, where we both could see the changing perspectives of other people towards her. And it's something, I think that created a bond between us that will be there for a long time, I'm sure. I recognized I had to earn some people's trust. For some it was a given, and for others it wasn't. And I felt like the only way I'm going to do that is to be who I am very consistently, so people know what they can count on, and also know that and they also will get a sense that I'm here to improve things. I'm not here to be a policeman. And I think slowly over time, those people recognized it and made changes. In leaving Stanford a few weeks ago, it's very gratifying to me that I feel like I have excellent relationships with everyone on the staff at this point. And that certainly wasn't the case the first 6 months that I was here. Being the department head responsible for case management, that was a wonderful project, and we've gotten wonderful support from all levels of the administration, and it's been a great success. It's been very high profile and fun. It really has been a fun project. The other thing is a quieter but nonetheless consistent changes going on in social work. And I think our social work department here is much better today than it had been a couple of years ago. A lot of what social workers do is between themselves and patients and families, and they aren't by nature people who go around and talk about that. Much of it they consider confidential or semi-confidential, so that a lot of people don't know what social workers do. And my observations have always been that if people knew what we did, they would want more of it. So I've tried to help them recognize that we must engage in internal marketing. We must let people know what we do. I've also been able to recruit some very highly qualified people for people who have left positions, and a couple of new ones were developed. And I actually essentially raided the Children's Hospital social work department staff very carefully and without making any enemies there. But we have some like really excellent people who are new, and they've also helped elevate standards, and they've changed the old culture was not a good one, and a new culture has emerged with all of the changes that have occurred over the past 3 years. People like their jobs, and people feel supported, and I think that part of that's due to management, and part of it's due to the hospital. I think one of the things that ties everything together is the importance of having a vision. My vision is very consistent with that of my boss, Sharon Flynn Hollander, and with Ken Bloom. And so it makes it easier for me to do my work, knowing that we're coming from the same general approach. But I think even for a work group, like a department, it's important to have a sense of where do we want to go, how do we want to be perceived, what programs should be developed 5 years from now or next year. And it's important to always have people thinking about that, imagining how we might do things better or more efficiently. I think when you have a group of people who have a shared vision, the number of positive outcomes is going to, just dramatically increase. Because we all know what we're doing, people feel supported. People generally like to work hard, and they like to, when you've had a good day when you've done a number of things and you did them successfully. I think another critical part of being a good manager is having good listening skills. That often employees just need to be heard well, and that if you need to be comfortable with that and to hold back any judgments or sense that you have you know what's going on, because I think people do bring information that will alter your perception of the whatever's going on. But I think if people don't feel like you're listening to them, it really creates a unhealthy situation, I think. I think back about a lot of patients that I've worked with and things that they've said or coping strategies they employed when they were facing the end of their lives, and I recognize now that many of them were pathfinders for me. I didn't think of it that way at the time, but when I look back, because of my work, I've been able to be exposed to issues and situations that not many people are exposed to, and that's been a great asset. I think I've known for a long time that I was HIV positive, and have had some therapy, which was critical, I think, and I have a really supportive network of family and friends, and I'm real open to the world. And I initially had a fear of death and dying, and as I examined that, I realized my fear was that I wouldn't live fully before I died. So it helped alter how I perceived my life on a daily basis. And that process has been a good one, so that I'm not I'm not uncomfortable talking about it, and I don't look forward to experiencing pain or suffering, but I've got a very good doctor, and I feel like there's still ways I can contribute. I'm just taking this as an opportunity for personal growth, and I'm curious about it, and I'm interested in it.